Brooklyn Beckham wants a public apology from his parents, from Sir David and Lady Victoria Beckham, the couple who built the empire that made him famous before he could even walk. Before we get into this unbelievable new twist in the Beckham family feud, make sure you're subscribed, because what's unfolding here isn't just family drama. It's a story about privilege, pride, and what happens when fame is inherited rather than earned. So let's get into it. After years of silence, insiders close to the Beckhams are now claiming that Brooklyn and his wife, Nicola Peltz, are finally willing to end their ongoing feud with the family. But only if David and Victoria make a public apology. That's right, a public apology. Not a phone call, not a quiet dinner behind closed doors. A public acknowledgement of supposed wrongs against Brooklyn and Nicola. Apparently, the couple feels that David and Victoria have been leaking anti-Nicola stories to the press for years, painting her as a diva, a control freak, the outsider who broke the Beckham bond. And Brooklyn, we're told, is furious about how it's affected his wife's image. But here's where the story starts to fall apart. Because while Brooklyn is demanding an apology from his parents, he was nowhere to be seen when his father achieved the biggest moment of his life, being knighted by King Charles at Windsor Castle. This was David Beckham's dream, the honor he's been waiting for years. His family were there, his wife Victoria, his sons Romeo and Cruz. But Brooklyn? He was on Instagram, promoting a bag of pretzel pita chips. No congratulations post, no proud son message, nothing. This isn't a one-off. Brooklyn also skipped David's 50th birthday celebrations earlier this year. He missed the Scotland fishing trip with his brothers, even the family's London celebrations. And yet, he and Nicola somehow still think they deserve an apology. Let's be real. Brooklyn Beckham has become the poster boy for Nepo privilege. He's the son of one of the most beloved footballers of all time, and one of the most successful designers on the planet. He grew up surrounded by opportunity most people could only dream of. But instead of building something real, Brooklyn has spent the last few years drifting, from photography to cooking to modeling, without ever showing the discipline or humility his parents built their lives on. Now he's out in Los Angeles, living off family fame, talking about loyalty and respect, while ignoring the father who made him the star he is. And all of this supposedly because of what? A dress. Because remember, this feud started 4 years ago at Brooklyn and Nicola's wedding. There were reports that Nicola snubbed Victoria Beckham's label, choosing a custom Valentino gown instead. Some said Nicola refused to wear one of Victoria's designs. Others claimed Victoria pulled out last minute and embarrassed her new daughter-in-law. Whatever the truth, the cracks started there, and they've only deepened ever since. It wasn't just the dress, it was the speeches, the politics, the clash of worlds between the working-class British family who built their empire from nothing, and the American billionaires who've never known a day without luxury. Nicola's family hosted the event. They paid for it. And since that day, the Beckhams haven't been invited to anything. Not even the vow renewal earlier this year, which Nicola's billionaire father, Nelson Peltz, hosted in Florida. None of the Beckhams were on the guest list. Not David, not Victoria, not even Brooklyn's younger brothers. And now, with David Beckham finally knighted, a symbol of decades of hard work, loyalty, and service, his eldest son is using that moment to demand public humiliation from his own parents. It's hard to imagine anything more entitled. Let's be honest, David and Victoria aren't perfect. They've played the fame game their whole lives. They know how to control a narrative. But if you look back, they've never publicly attacked their son. They've never gone on record to humiliate Nicola. They've stayed quiet, respectful, measured. Victoria even hinted at her pain during an interview ahead of her Netflix documentary. When asked about the Oasis reunion, she said she was happy for the Gallagher brothers' mother, because it must feel wonderful to see your sons finally talking again. The interviewer described her as lost in thought. That was the closest she's ever come to acknowledging her heartbreak over her own sons not speaking. Because make no mistake, This feud isn't just between Brooklyn and his parents. It's split the entire family. Romeo and Cruz still post with their mom and dad. They attended the knighthood ceremony with pride. But Brooklyn? He's built a new identity, one that thrives on separation. And that's what makes this latest demand so hollow. Because Brooklyn isn't asking for reconciliation. He's asking for validation. He wants his parents, the icons who shaped pop culture, to publicly admit they were wrong just to feed his ego. It's not about healing, it's about power. He and Nicola want to control the narrative, to be seen as the victims of an unfair system, when in reality, they've been living in the comfort of everything that system built for them. And let's not forget, Brooklyn's loyalty seems to shift depending on what makes headlines. He once said he didn't want fame, that he just wanted to cook. Then he filmed a Netflix series about cooking, where he couldn't make a basic sandwich without help. He said he wanted privacy, but posts every part of his marriage online. He said he wanted independence, but now wants his parents' public apology to restore his image. If this sounds childish, that's because it is. Brooklyn Beckham might be 26, but emotionally, he's still the teenager who never quite found his place. He's living out the fantasy of rebellion against his famous parents, forgetting that every opportunity he's ever had was handed to him because of their name. And yet, there's a deeper sadness here. Because behind the ego, the resentment, the distance, there's probably still love. Somewhere under the filters, the entitlement, and the PR statements, there's a son who just wants to be seen. But instead of picking up the phone, he's letting the tabloids tell his story. He's turning reconciliation into a negotiation. A public apology in exchange for forgiveness. It's the kind of demand you make when you've lost touch with what family even means. David Beckham didn't just become famous. He earned it. Through decades of discipline, consistency, and grace under pressure. He turned scandal into strength. He represented his country with pride. And through all of it, his family was his anchor. Now, his eldest son is trying to cash in on that legacy by playing the victim. Nicola, for her part, has made it clear she's not backing down. Her friends claim she's been unfairly targeted, that the Beckhams looked down on her. But you'd think a billionaire heiress might have thicker skin, especially when she's married to the son of Britain's most famous couple. The truth is, this feud only ends one way, when Brooklyn decides to grow up. When he realizes that love isn't a performance, and apologies don't come on command. Until then, the Beckhams will carry on. David will keep his knighthood. Victoria will keep building her empire. And Brooklyn will keep posting snack ads on Instagram, wondering why the world stopped caring. It's sad, but it's also poetic. Because in the end, David and Victoria built their fame on hard work. Brooklyn's built his on hurt feelings. And one of those things lasts a lot longer than the other. Thanks for watching. If you've been following this wild Beckham family saga, from Brooklyn's wedding drama to David's knighthood, make sure you subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest celebrity stories shaping pop culture right now, because this feud isn't over. And the next move could decide whether Brooklyn Beckham ever finds his way back home or loses his family for good.